taking you through all the happenings of a fresh new week, of a fresh new month of October. Now, the US indices suffered a bit of a sell-off of sorts, especially among the tech basket. Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft were all down over 2% in trade on Monday. Facebook saw a bit of a crash in its servers for almost 5 to 6 hours on Monday, leading to the stock price crashing to was down almost 5% at close of trade on Monday. The Nasdaq was down overall by 2.1% after declining almost 3% last week as well. And the Dow was down almost 1% in trade to start the week off. The S&P 500 was also down around 1/3%, reversing some of the gains it had made on last Friday. Moving on to how Europe was looking, European markets too closed lower as investors watched out as to how Evergrande was playing out in China. And also investors were spooked by inflation as well as interest rates as to how the Federal Reserve will be going ahead with regard to its liquidity program. The DAX was down around 4/5% to kickstart the new week. The FTSE 100 was down around 1/4% in trade yesterday. The CAC 40 continued its decline to close down 3/5% lower on Monday, and the stock 600 was down around 0.5% in trade yesterday. Moving on to how Asia was looking, Asian stocks closed a mix in trade yesterday. The Nikkei was down over 1% in trade. The Hang Seng too fell over 2.2, almost 2.2% in trade yesterday amid the Evergrande shares trading being halted by the Hang Seng. The SGX 200 though was up around 1.3% in trade yesterday. Moving on to how Asian markets have opened today. So Asian markets across the board have opened in the red. The Nikkei is down almost 2.8% in early trade today. The SGX 200 has fallen around 4/5%. The Kospi is down almost 2%. And mind you, the Kospi is down 10% since its July high, so that's a substantial chunk now being shaved off. The SGX Nifty Futures closed around 1% higher in trade yesterday, but is down, has reversed some of those gains, is down almost 1% lower in trade today. Bad cues for Indian markets, of course. Moving on to metals and commodities, the London Metal Index gained around 1.4% in trade yesterday after declining over 3% last week. The OPEC Plus plans to stick to its plan of a gradual output hike, which is leading to oil prices shooting higher. Oil is at around $77.5 a barrel in early trade today, shooting up substantially from the $75 a barrel mark, which we discussed yesterday. The Brent crude as well is well above the $80 a barrel mark, is at around $81 plus a barrel. Gold though is holding out at around $1766 an ounce mark. Moving on to how metals are looking, aluminium, copper as well as iron ore, all three have risen in terms of their prices. Iron ore has gone up a good solid 6%, in fact 6.21% in trade yesterday. Excuse me. Moving on to currencies, the dollar index was around 1/4% lower in trade yesterday, and this is its third consecutive trading day in the red. The dollar index though is up around 0.1% in early trade today. Treasury yields have risen. Of course, they've risen slightly at around the 1.48% mark in early trade today. Moving on to how Bitcoin is looking, cryptos. Bitcoin is up around 1% in early trade today and is at around the $49,300 mark. It's a roundup from us to start this new week of this new month.